Well, hello there. This is Frenchie, aka Luda Frenchie Monette, and you are listening to Norn Consultations. On today's episode, I got my man Dan. How are you doing today?
Not bad, not bad. Just getting into some rookie class introductions this week, and we've been going full steam, and we got an exciting one today too.
Yeah, not one, but two people on the Norton Consultations episode. We have Mr. Jake Wittneben. Oh, man, I messed up your... I got it the first time.
You got it right the first time. Pre-stream, we got it right the first time, so that's all that matters.
All right. We got Mr. Jake. Okay, less complicated. And apparently, he's freshly squeezed. He has no added preservative. It's Mr. The Juice.
I'm squeezing.
Yeah. So, again, thank you very much for being on the show. Let's go straight off the bat here. Jake, how did you get introduced to Schmoedown? What was your first taste?
Okay, so my first taste of the Schmoedown actually goes back to Justin, because it's all linked between Justin and I, honestly. So the Juice. When we were both in college, and he's like, hey, so I watched this show called Schmoes Know Movie Show, and I made this call, and I got all of them laughing. And he showed me that, and I got into Schmoes Know, and then started getting into the bit of the Schmoedown. I started off with like the celebrity matches and whatnot. And over the years, that's kind of like how I stuck with. I got really into all of Alex Damon's performances in Star Wars. And I think it really expanded for me, especially with I always paid attention to Merle, but the Merle Bateman match, I actually was like, all right, I'm going to actually like watch this and analyze it. And because I really only focused on IG and Star Wars for the longest time, just because that's the stuff that I knew. But when I watched that match, it just opened it up for me. I was just like, holy cow, this goes so deep. And so, yeah, no, it's just grown since then. So.
And for you, Juice, from what I understand, Mr. Jake here, you go way back.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, different question to you, since we know your origins, why the Schmoedown? Why did you fall in love with the Schmoedown?
Yeah, I think, so I was big into like the movie fights. I was big into like the Schmoes Know show. Like I was really getting in about 2014, getting into like all those personalities. And I really liked kind of I love trivia naturally. And, you know, I just got recommended season 1 at one point, got recommended to me on the YouTube sidebar. And I'm like, I don't remember what match it was, but I was like, this is awesome. You know, Christian and Mark hosting. And then season 2, kind of like they announced that they were going to do like a teams version of it. And I got really into that. But as soon as like they went over to Collider and they're like, we're going to like go full force, I immediately got Christian's vision of it. And I'm not the big like wrestling guy. I get the story stuff. It's more of Jake over there. But like for whatever reason, whatever, it just clicked. I love like the personality, the kind of character oriented of it. And then with the trivia too, I can't even explain, but I fell in love with it.
Dan, it's your turn. Come on, speak, man.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just lagging a little bit. I didn't want to cut the juice off. And what my question is actually for Jake though. Since you're focusing on the Star Wars division and with a dip into inner geekdom as well, I assume like rom-coms is one of your strengths.
He has a wife.
Yes, and oftentimes I make her laugh at me. No, I love her to death. She's great. But yeah, so I guess.
But go ahead, Dan.
Oh no, I was just like trying to pick the furthest thing from an inner geekdom category, but like what.
I love me a good rom-com though.
What is it about Star Wars that like really spoke to you, like when you first saw it, or?
Man, well, yeah, gosh, it's Star Wars. I mean, I remember for me, like I wore out all the VHS tapes growing up when I was little. I remember the first Star Wars movie I was actually ever exposed to was Phantom Menace, and so like, you know. It was only up from there, obviously. But yeah, just like the lightsaber fight between Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon. And then, you know, I learned about the original trilogy. I'll never forget when my cousin told me at Christmas one year being like, dude, no, Darth Vader is Anakin. And like only knowing Anakin is the little boy, I was like, no, you're an idiot. Shut up. But yeah, no, Star Wars is like it's my favorite thing. I got a bunch of Star Wars posters up there. It's great. It's like I've read books. I've watched all the shows. I watch all the movies tons of times. Empire of Dreams, watched that a bunch. I went to Star Wars Celebration, my first Star Wars Celebration in 2019, which was an amazing experience. I could honestly talk endlessly about how much I love Star Wars. It's easily my most favorite IP, probably only rivaled by Lord of the Rings, but the only reason why Lord of the Rings doesn't match it is just because the amount of content far surpasses in Star Wars.
Now, it's a thing loving Star Wars and wearing out the VHS tapes. Yep. It's another thing of wanting to compete in the Star Wars League. That requires big cojones because, like you said before, Alex Damon, to be able to get to that level requires almost Force-like abilities, right? So why take a step to go to Star Wars division?
Well, honestly, just speaking from the heart, going Star Wars division, because that's just where I trust myself in the most. I remember watching all the Star Wars matches, especially throughout the tournament and whatnot. When I watch the matches, I like to test my own knowledge. I like to be like, can I answer these questions? And so to me, I don't know. I think it's all about I think of being rewarded. And it's like, let's be honest. We're all nerds here. We're all sweaty. And growing up, not everybody really accepts that. And so when you get the opportunity, you hear this cool organization going down, this cool show going down that is rewarding for that. That's awesome. That's really fulfilling to be embraced by a community and to test your knowledge of this stuff. So that's what really, that's what inspired me not just to be a fan, but also be a competitor.
And if the lag doesn't, you had a question, Dan, or okay?
Sorry, I thought you had one there. My bad.
Well, I did, but I don't want to cut you off because again, the lag. So I'm not sure when you don't have a question and you're just or your internet is slow. So I give it 5 seconds.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, and so what role does your agent play here? And either of you can take this question if you want to.
Well, I'll start and then I'll transition over to Justin really quick. First off, it's let me just explain to you the process because I was really going out on a limb when I was putting in when I put in my audition tape. I just I'm trying to think of my pro wrestling mind, which that's another reason what got me into Schmodown. I really should have mentioned that the first place. I'm a huge wrestling fan, so hearing that Christian, also with a huge pro wrestling lore background, is incorporating that. Sold. And so anyways, going into that, so when I figured out that my name was on the draft list, I called Justin immediately. It was the very first person I called, and his role in my whole process is very, very important to me. He's a great advocate for me and my abilities, and also he's all everything that any player would be lucky to have a guy like him on their side. I can't explain even how much it gets into it. Juice, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just I started really getting into the community and into different Patreons and all that stuff and having friends that are other fans. And so immediately once Jacob called me and told me he was drafted, I was reaching out to people, and a lot of people had his support. A lot of people are like, we'll help him study. A lot of people are like, we'll help him, with this and that, and then we were on Call to Action the other day. We're going to go on Let's Get Ready in a few days, I think. And so it's right away there, you having an agent is something that I think competitors probably really should have. And I'm not trying to make myself look good, but having somebody that is reaching out on behalf of and can do all the work. So then Jacob can just focus on himself. He can focus on his character. He can focus on the trivia. I can be reaching out to people. Hey, when can we have him on the show? Yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of been the role so far. And then helping with promos. We shot a promo together. We'll probably do another promo or two here before the end of the draft. And so, and keeping him accountable and keeping his head up and everything. So
and another thing with that, not to interrupt, are you guys pro wrestling fans by chance?
I'm starting to get into it, but to be honest, I'm definitely not at one of our co-hosts, Soda's level, but I'm starting to get into it.
Well, yeah, because I'm just wondering.
Sorry. I was a fan for like quite a while, but have like dropped off in the last few years for sure.
Right. Justin's basically the real life version of Paul Heyman to my CM Punk or Brock Lesnar, or like he's the real life version of that. And it's not to say that I'm not like doing anything on my own. I'm reaching out to people too. I'm getting in contact with managers and competitors and stuff like that. So I'm definitely putting in my chops, but it's definitely awesome to have somebody in your corner like Justin.
And what I understand with the juice, what you're doing, right, is trying to push the sport, because at one point there was no managers, and then Finstock came in and be like, hey, I'm gonna change the way you see the sport of movie trivia, right? And this is kind of what you're doing. You're trying to add in something that might actually evolve to something else for other players, right? My question to you, Mr. The Juice, is you're gonna help Miss Jake study. You're gonna evolve his game. But if a team drafts you, do they have access to your services as well, or is it exclusive to Jake?
If a team drafts Jake, would they be able to get my help as well?
Yeah, for study sessions.
For sure. I definitely don't see why not. I'd definitely be down for helping in whatever way possible. Facilitating a scrimmage match, writing questions for a scrimmage match, say he's on, if he's on a faction and there's another Inner Geekdom player, another Star Wars player, and they want someone to help write questions, I definitely do that, or help study. We're like, and I already am working and trying to recruit people that have strengths in different Inner Geekdom areas to help me start preparing questions and flashcards that we can test Jake on, and that would definitely not be exclusive to him. That would go out to the whole faction for sure. So yeah, definitely.
And now, obviously, there are managers who are going to look at this. We know Harloff is watch a show from time to time. So there's a lot of competitors with a lot of egos, a lot of like, I'm the best, I'm going to destroy. So at one point, you kind of have to differentiate, right? So Jake, the Juice, could you both of you give us the top 3 things that managers should and definitely need to know about both of you?
You want to take this first, Juice?
Yeah. I mean, one kind of off of what I was saying before. One would definitely be the dedication. There will definitely be no lack of dedication. If you draft Jacob, you're getting a team, you're getting people that are going to help support him, help him study, that are in his corner. You're getting somebody like Jacob with the pro wrestling background is going to be a great character. And our first promo, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he already is starting to like really shine as a character, and he really knows how to cut promos. Like, really surprised me, who's known him for, we've known each other for years and years, and we got in front of the green screen to shoot a promo, and it was like The Rock was standing in front of me. It was insane. He really transformed himself. And so you're going to get a character, and I think that we'll work on that and get better and better. And I think Jacob can be somebody that's going to be awesome at trivia, but it's also going to be like a great character and be able to have great rivalries, and is going to be the kind of person that'll get matches, even if he loses, which he won't. He'll win, but even if he lost, he'll still get matches. And third, I mean, is he is also a great guy and a great team player. He in himself is somebody that's going to want to be helping the faction. He's going to be wanting to support and participate in different mock matches and all that stuff. So yeah, you're going to get a combo of all kinds of stuff if you draft him.
All right. And I'm curious, Jake, he talked about you, right? Could you talk about the top 3 things that they're going to get from the juice?
That's perfect, because I'm only going to echo everything he just said, because it's very true, though, because it's like, you know, just to riff off of what Juice was saying really quick, you know, it's like I said, I got a team of people behind me that are going to hold me accountable. I'm going to work my tail off for this, and he can attest that I definitely will do that. I got a pro wrestling mind, and ultimately, I just want to say, and I intentionally am going into this podcast less as a character, just to show, like, you know, I want to be professional. You know, I want to be a blank slate. You know, I want to do whatever helps make the Schmodown as a whole, and the faction specifically, better. So those are my strengths. But going off to Juice. As I was kind of going off of what I was saying before, Justin, because if that is his real name, Justin is like, that's you know, Juice he really undersells himself, I think. He really, really knows the Schmodown. If you ever saw him doing Schmobaits or something like that, I remember when he first was going to go on Schmobaits, he showed me his notes, and I was just like, dude, I would not have even thought of that. He's like the guy that cops look at blackjack tables thinking, is he counting the numbers? Like, he just seriously, is he counting the cards? Because he really, really, really knows the game. Not that I don't know how to play the game. I think I could play the game very well, but we're just talking about the stats and everything. I couldn't, like, any player would be lucky. And I don't want to, even though, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, and obviously, like, I'm slightly possessive. Like, I would prefer Justin to be with me. At the end of the day, I am totally content, you know, with Justin excelling and succeeding, because you couldn't ask for a better guy in your corner in the Schmodown. Personally, that's not an actual manager right now. Gosh.
Which, speaking of, let's say they are opening up a minor league and you're drafted into the big show, but they ask the Juice if he wants to manage a faction in the minors. What happens then?
What happens then is this, bottom line. Right. What happens then, bottom line, they can do that, and I think we would both accept it, but at the end of the day, that whole season, whoever's in the big leagues and whoever's not is going to talk their ears off about the other person. It's like, yeah, you could draft me, but if you put Justin in the minor leagues, that's totally fair. That's your decision. I will be pressing for him to be on the next draft list the entire year.
So basically, if you want Jake to shut up, just put him just put him.
Not that I'm going to be unprofessional. It's just, you know, I know what he's got, and he knows what I got, and that's what's important. If you already have a symbiosis with someone, and it kind of a relationship, you don't even have to speak words. You just look, eye contact, and you know what he's thinking. That is a relationship you need to have going forward, right? Because that is not that is not something you can buy or you can, you know, work towards. That's something that's instinctual, and not everyone has as a relationship. So when you find that, man, you keep it. Yeah. All right. I am curious. Let's say Harloff goes to you and say, yeah, you know, Jake, I like what you're doing. I actually have full confidence in you and the Juice. Carte blanche. You can be heel. You could be a tweener. You could be a face. What direction would you go? Here's the discrepancy that I have with that question.
All right.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how Christian necessarily works with that stuff creatively. Because here's the thing. I want what is ultimately whatever character that I decide to portray going to make the Schmodown bring more eyes to that. So let's say you put me against a character that is as evil as Andrew Guy. I will be John Cena for you. Like, not saying I'll be like, oh, I can't be beaten, but like I will be like as likable as possible, because it's more so like we're leaning heel. Like that's just kind of what we're doing right now. But, when it comes to pro wrestling, this is one of the things that's like the art of cutting a promo. Not that I'm like a master at it. This is just something that I've learned. But like when you're cutting a promo, even if you're a heel and or a face and you're going to insult the opponent in some way, shape, or form, you have to say something complimentary. Doesn't necessarily have to be nice, but it has to be complimentary. Like, so I take like Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 21. Shawn Michaels talking to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, I hate you, but guess what? But I know you're one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Because what happens if Shawn Michaels says, Kurt Angle, you're a really lame wrestler, and then he beats him at WrestleMania 21? He beat a really lame wrestler. There's nothing really to appreciate.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not trying to dodge the question.
Yeah.
Because like ultimately I want to be professional. I mean, if the world is my oyster, I'm going heel. Like if the world is my oyster.
I'll answer the question too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lack of amazing heels. So I think Jake wants to lean heel. I think there are amazing heels, but I'm just saying the amount. There's like no. You can there's only a few heels. Versus like we need more heels is what I'm trying to say. So having like the more, I think Christian will definitely like more, and then you can always turn Jake face. In a season or two, you can play around with that. I think Jake wants to naturally go heel, and I think that he would really excel as that heel. And I lean heel for us for sure.
Absolutely. I almost think of like The Rock, because I almost think of like The Rock because The Rock he was a character that literally on a flip of a switch with just a few words could go from heel to face.
Yeah.
Not much difference in his personality. It's just what he's saying.
But he still got cheered, right? Like at first it was booed, but he was so charismatic that even though he was kind of heelish, people loved him, and not loved him.
He's The Rock,
exactly. But he didn't start as that; he evolved as that, right? So, and that's what Team Action did. They were idiots and they were assholes, but they were people you loved to cheer at the same time. Yeah, and it slowly switched to that direction, right? So I understand completely where you're going. It's something you can definitely weave in, weave out, and it's kind of the difference between you and certain people we talk to. A lot of people said, "Oh, I want to be this. I want to be that." You seem to be understanding that it's something that can ever also change depending on what is needed. So that really brings a different angle to that question.
For sure, yeah, and yeah, he can do either. Absolutely, 1000%. Yeah, if we had the choice, we're going heel for sure. But yeah, he absolutely can do either. For sure.
I'm sorry if it seemed like I was dodging the question. I was just like trying to because
Never be sorry.
No,
you actually answered.
Yeah,
you actually answered it like even more fully, because it also helps your case if you want to be a heel, because it shows you understand the concept of it. Like it's not just about being a dick. It's about like always pushing the I don't want to say the evil side, because not even all heels are that like evil trope. It's a very nuanced thing depending on who you're facing too.
Right, and it's like I said, because I've only had the privilege of meeting Christian once, but just from what I've seen from how he's talked about the Schmoedown and whatnot, like it's his show. He wants the Schmoedown to succeed, and if I have the privilege of being drafted, I want the same thing, even if it's this minor role, minor character. Like I'll do it.
And another thing, and there's no, and if you apologize, I will go to Wyoming. I will smack you myself. So no apologizing. There's There's no bad answers.
You're healing. I'm supposed to say you're sorry.
Come on, man. So there's no good. There's no bad.
I'm sorry for saying I'm sorry.
Want to apologize.
Yeah.
Means I'm a nice guy.
Okay, so there's no good, there's no bad answer because the Schmodown needs both types of mentalities. But are you type of someone that, you know, is it more of like, if I can entertain, even if I lose, it's okay. I gave an amazing show, an amazing an hour to fans, or is it the win that's most important? Which one would you choose if you had the choice?
Oh man, that's really tough.
Yep.
It's tough to answer that question because it's not like pro wrestling. Because if it was pro wrestling, if it was straight up pro wrestling, I would just straight up be like, well, entertaining the fans. But because it's a legitimate competition, I have to say win.
Well,
yeah.
To defense, because there are teams like if they win, they're happy to try all their best, like the Real Rejects, the Wildberries. But, you know, they get lucky and they win, but their main front is, hey, let's entertain the shit out of these guys. Live event, we are there. And then you got the John Rokas, he lose, the whole building's on fire, right?
Yeah.
So
there's going to be a good balance of both, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's going to be that, okay, we lost, we had an entertainment, we were a great opponent, we entertained the crowd, we had a good time. Let's recoup. Yeah, the building's not going to go on fire. If we win and we are entertaining, then it's ultimate win. But yeah, take it.
I think it's just like, as somebody who's on the draft list, I have to think that way. I have to think win. I mean, obviously, I'm super excited to like have the opportunity to entertain. But
now, before we go in the promo section, Dan, you have the last question.
Yeah, I got one more thing. It's kind of pertaining to that a little bit. Would you describe yourself more of a student of the game or a professor of the game, is how I'm going to phrase it? Somebody who's like a professor would be your knowledge base is what you're relying on because you've seen these movies tens, hundreds, thousands of times, who knows? And or would it be more like you're gonna wait until close to match day and you're gonna do the study regiment and keep the information fresh and study your opponent's weaknesses, that sort of thing?
Well, I think the greatest professors of the game are always students of the game. You know, we never stop learning. For me, I think I would definitely lean more towards being student, not just because I'm a rookie, but because I had a conversation with somebody about this very recently. With the Schmodown, it's like obviously having the head knowledge is there, but you have the head knowledge in 15 seconds. You have the head knowledge in a title match with no JTEs left, and that type of practice is what I really got to get down. It's not just flashcard. I mean, I want flashcards, but it's not just flashcards that's going to get me to win the match, you know. So I would definitely say I'm more of a student of the game, just in the sense that I'm always going to be practicing and learning the game, and you know, always going to be learning fresh information, because that's my problem, and I think Justin can attest to this. My issue is sometimes I overstudy in the sense, like, you know, if I have Star Wars flashcards, I won't ditch the who plays Han Solo flashcard, even though I could get that in my sleep. Like it's definitely Harrison Ford. So you know,
or all there.
I was gonna say,
we're on the air rack. We're on the air rack.
Because
this is why I don't make the questions.
In a speed round, that's where you get fucked up, right? In a speed round,
yeah.
Harrison Ford.
I
That's
was
what
about
happened.
to say that. I was about to say that, but I didn't know the guy's name.
I was referring to because I actually was just looking at some New Hope flashcards. So
No, yeah, but yeah. Well, it's funny how both Ace and Damon missed that. How many times has Han Solo been in a Star Wars movie? And it's 6, and they both said 5. That's really fascinating. Really fascinating. But
the names are synonymous, though. Like,
right.
Especially as a speed round question, you're just thinking of the clumps of information. And yeah, Han Solo and Harrison Ford, they were the exact same thing in their brain. So after that connection is made, you're just counting Harrison Ford roles, which was wrong.
And I know this is totally off topic, but I just got to say, just like as a Schmodown Star Wars fan, I I might be in the minority on this, but I really hope we see Ace versus Damon 2 one day. I really do. I do. I think that Ace can do it.
I think Ace got rattled. We haven't seen the best of him. If he applies the mindset he had during the whole tournament, he was dangerous. I actually picked him up in the fantasy league because I saw this glimmer in his eye after the first match and said that is a champion in the making, right? He dropped the ball, but yeah, I definitely agree with you. That being said, enough of Ace. Who cares about Ace right now? We're talking about Jake, man. Again, the Canadian's gonna smack you. All right.
Sorry, Frenchie.
Hey, it's okay. That being said, it is time to show everyone, including the managers, what you got. Okay. You got 45 seconds, either Juice, Jake, or both. Go ahead and promote yourself. And if you want to take shots at people, go ahead too.
Juice, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, why don't you get into character a little bit for a second? So there's somebody that's kind of become a little instant rival with us in this league so far. And he goes by the name The Sweeps, for whatever reason. It's Jesse Swift. Jesse the Sweeps Swift. And so, he's coming on with this whole like Swiffering character. He's the Swiffer guy. I don't really know what he's trying to pull. So I hope that he knows that he's applying for a movie trivia position. He's trying to be in a movie trivia league. He's not trying to be the janitor at the Collider Studios. It seems from his promos that that's what he's applying for. So if he wants to go sweep somewhere, I'm sure Kaiser would happily have him come sweep the dungeon for him. I don't know if he'd want that role, but yeah, Jake, you have more to say about him than I do.
Listen, I've said enough about sweeps up to this point. What I most recently said last night in my promo. Okay, we're not here to play around with our toys. We're here to be serious. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. If we ended up being drafted to the same faction, I'll be plenty professional and I'll work with them. I just don't want people going around saying that they're the best IG rookie in the league when you got this guy here. All right. Because don't forget, Juice. Don't forget, north, east, southwest. I'm the best. You know it. I'm the best.
That's facts.
All right. Thank you, boys, so much for that promo. That actually, I wasn't sure because we have another segment. We're giving our thoughts on who we think should draft you. I wasn't sure who I think should be the perfect match until I saw you in character, Jake. We'll start with Dan first. Who, in your gut instinct, you say, hey, this is a perfect match. They should draft him.
Okay, so this is actually going to be a wild answer because I did see like your last video and I was thinking that sort of character kind of belongs in like the corruption, the dungeon. But watching that promo, I thought like the usual suspects. It's kind of out there and they're not like the heel leaning team. But they need some bite on that faction.
And you see, I'm going complete opposite. I was kind of going for usual suspects if Jake was just, himself. He has this, 70% bite, but 30% smile and snarkiness. But seeing him with the full sunglasses, with the way you're backing him, the Juice, and the way you're responding, Jake, back to Juice, you guys are Finstock material through the fucking roof, man. I can only imagine seeing Finstock in the top, you both on the bottom, and talking as a triangle. Next thing you know, Juice, you have no more shirt on because he influenced you, Wild things are going to happen. So my pick for Jake and the Juice is the Finstock. All right. Now we're soon gonna close the show, but before we finish off, we always ask this question. Today is gonna be double, so let's keep it slightly shorter than usual for the answers. But if aliens would be coming on a planet and be like, "Hey, movies, we don't like you," they're erasing all movies from the world, but they're nice enough to give us a week in advance notice to watch last 3 movies as a final goodbye. Which movies, Jake, would you choose?
Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, Star Wars: A New Hope, and Sky High.
Yes.
Okay. And also,
I fucking love Sky High.
we'll let you in on a bonus because we've been giving it to some other competitors. You actually get the entire original trilogy for picking a Star Wars movie. So
okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And Mr. The Juice, what
Yes.
do you choose?
I'll go with Taxi Driver, my favorite film of all time. I'll go with Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I'll go with Wayne's World.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude. I didn't know you were that big of a fan.
Well,
Oh,
one of the last movies I ever see.
But and that's the thing between the difference between like what's your top 3 movies of all time and what's if movies would disappear. It's not necessarily the best movies or your favorite movies. It's the movies you want to leave the last impression, right? So and Sky High, I never thought anyone would ever say that movie. I actually saw it in the cinema twice.
But also, I usually take the approach of I just want to watch some like feel good movies that are gonna make you real happy while you're watching it. Like I think Kick-Ass is kind of high up on my list too, just because it's a fun romp from start to finish, and like you don't want to watch a sad movie when they're all going away.
Oh yeah.
And me would be the most eclectic thing. It'd be Stargate, the original movie. It would be The Room, because I have to see something completely ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I have to watch that. And it keeps switching, but I think I want something to just remember horror movies. So I'll probably go with The Exorcist.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
But it keeps on changing every fucking show. So hey. All right. So look, thank you very much, boys, for being on the show. And by the way, Juice, I love your mustache. By the way, could we like do a third audition just for the mustache to be on the draft list, or is that possible?
I'm down for it.
All right. So, boys, if people want to follow you, main new fans, where can they reach you?
My Twitter, Justin_the_Juice1, or maybe Justin the Juice 1. Not 1,000% sure. I'll look it up. But also YouTube, my own personal YouTube channel, where I do like guitar videos and stuff, is just Justin the Juice. Sure, you can find it there. But yes, my Twitter handle is @JustinTheJuice1.
And Jake?
My Twitter handle is WittJD. My Twitter name is Jacob Wittneben, so you can find it that easy. But it's WittJD, WittWittJD. That is my handle for most things. It's my handle for YouTube, which I do a lot of content, a lot of Star Wars content on YouTube. That's actually where I filmed the promo, and you can find other promos there. You can find me on Twitch with that, Twitter, Facebook, all that. And
where can they find you?
Yeah, I can be found on Twitter at my handle down here at Avengers_SOTN. That's Schmoes of the North. And I can be found over on Facebook at our Facebook page, also under Schmoes of the North, where we run some discussion posts, and also I run like a full-fledged fantasy league that runs throughout the entire season of the Schmoedown, where you get to be your own manager. And we're looking for people to sign up. So if anyone's watching and they're interested, head over to our Facebook page and throw a message at me.
And you can find me on the official Schmoes of the North Twitter, which is Norton Schmoes. You can also find me every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time, with Jay Wade on Speaking of Schmoedown, which is the sport, the sport radio talk of Schmoedown. Basically, two guys arguing pretty much the whole time, and it's basically what it is. And you can also find me every week on the Frenchie Talks About, which I do have a one-on-one with a specialist about a different topic every week. Last show was the amazing Amanda Savine, which is a bodybuilder from Sweden. She went from anorexic to bodybuilder, almost dying, to finding her light. She is awesome, and do not miss that out. So thank you very much, boys, again, for being on. And if you haven't done it already, what you doing? Subscribe, like, press notification. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Squeeze it easy, suckers.